Hey guys, today I want to show you how to paint a flower bush that can be potentially much more detailed than what you could paint on a standard canvas. This is going to be part of a landscape painting that I'm still continuing to work on digitally on my iPhone. So why am I doing this? I was really bored at work this week and decided to draw something on my iPhone. And before I knew it, I ended up painting a whole landscape around this. The advantage of painting it digitally is that you can zoom in as much as you want to and really sharpen the detail to the point of making it photorealistic. I'm going to use a software called iArtbook, but it really doesn't matter what painting program you use because I'm just using a basic brushing tool as well as a transparency tool that could allow me to blend the colors. So let's get started. As you can see here, I have already placed this green oval shape here, just some green colors that transition in value. This creates the basic shape of it, making it more three-dimensional. Here in the beginning, I am using loose brushing, using a larger paintbrush to establish the basic shapes and textures. I want to add these textures here using dark green colors. The way I'm painting this is pretty similar to my approach I would use with paints, so if you watch my other videos about painting vegetation, the same main ideas are going to be here. However, the different part about this video is that I take extra time later on where I zoom in and elaborate much more on the smaller textures inside the flowers and leaves. Next, I want to paint the first layer of the purple flowers all over this bush. I'm using a desaturated purple color right now, leaning more towards the indigo side. I'll be using the more vivid colors later on in the final detailing. I want to keep the values consistent with each other so that the darkest colors are in the bottom and they transition up to lighter ones on top. Also, the flowers are more condensed in the upper area than down below because of our line of sight. The curvature of the plant will cause this to happen. Another thing here is that I'm keeping the brush slightly transparent here, about 20 to 25%, so that all these shapes I'm painting can blend partially with what's behind them. Painting this digitally is actually a huge time saver, I realize, since you don't have to go back and forth cleaning the brush and mixing the paint, even with drawing highly detailed things here. Okay, now the easy part is over. Let's do some texturing where I add more shape to all these flower clusters I just did. This stage of painting is extremely monotonous. All you're going to be doing in this part is adding these tiny smudges across all these purple areas. The same idea goes here with the values. I'm rounding out the shapes of the flowers where the most amount of dark smudges are in the bottom part, and then they get lighter as they go higher. I'm using a darker version of the purple color, keeping the transparency of the brush pretty high because I want to be able to blend them enough. Don't focus too much on working on each individual flower, since many of them are clustered together. The great thing about doing this digitally is also that you can easily correct any areas by painting over them, which I'll sometimes be doing. Painting highly detailed landscapes can be painstaking work sometimes, especially during these early stages where you're just doing lots of groundwork establishing various patterns and textures. Also, another important thing here is that as you move up towards the brighter flowers, stay consistent with the shift in value so that these dark smudges get slightly brighter because I don't want to have too much contrast. Now I'm going to start adding some more vivid indigo colors over the flower clusters. Their value actually isn't that much brighter than the previous layer, but it may look like it because the color in particular is really intense and so it stands out a lot. Save the brightest colors for the top. I'm keeping the transparency high here as well so I can blend them carefully without creating too much sharpness. I also want to work on some other things here, such as some leaves that are going to be emerging from the dark green areas. These are not the final shapes of them, and I'll come back later to add more texture and blending to them. Right now they look too sharp and rigid, so I'll come back later to loosen them up. When you want to create realistic shapes, you need to use layers of color and texture. This is what I'm doing a lot of in this painting. With these flower clusters, you saw how I added the first layer of the desaturated purple, then the dark textures, and then the more colorful layer after that. Then if you want to, you could go back to a darker color and add more texture and repeat the steps. Using these very small smudges of various colors and values and continuing to stack them over each other is what creates these complex shapes that when you zoom out, they'll look realistic. So at this point of the painting, the brushing will need to be a little more precise as I'm going to be more careful with painting the shadows inside the leaf areas and create more shape to the flower clusters. I don't want to paint each and every individual leaf in this plant, but I still want to have a sense of realism here, so I will spend some time crafting some leaves here and there. Over the green areas, I'm also adding some dark smudges in many places so that I can set up the stage for the leaves to be able to emerge from these shaded areas. As I'm working on the flowers, I'm making them brightest in the higher areas of this plant, so make sure you pay attention to the values here. So once again, there's going to be lots of monotonous work here, just adding these very small smudges of paint. That's the thing with painting realistic things. It's not always glamorous, since you're going to be doing lots and lots of small brushing where you need to spend lots of time doing the same thing over and over again. Going back to these leaves now, I want to add some more depth and value to them, so I'm going to do some more shading with them. This way, of course, it will make them look like they are emerging from the background better. I also want to add more shade in the bottom area of this plant and make a transition upward. I didn't feel that there was enough of a contrast and roundness to this plant. So that's really all there is to it. The steps are simple, but it's just a lot of the same things you need to be doing over and over again until you get it done right. So painting vegetation like this is going to be the same with any other thing that you paint in a landscape. You're going to set up some initial basic layers of color, then stack multiple layers on top of one another until you essentially sculpt the right shape into existence. I hope you found this demonstration helpful. Let me know what you think and stay tuned for other videos like this.